The palaces of kings are fascinating places. Their splendor and power evoke respect and wonder. Yet, palaces of the ancient kings were first and foremost symbolic buildings, representing the sovereignty, strength, and power of the kingdom. This is perhaps the reason why 3,000 years ago, King David built himself a magnificent palace here in his new capital, Jerusalem. A large and impressive building would symbolize the power of his kingdom and unite all the tribes together under one flag. The Kingdom of the House of David. But in order to build a grand and luxurious palace, the highest quality materials were needed as well as skilled artisans. The Bible tells us that David's ally Hiram, king of Tyre, provided him with everything he needed, including materials and skilled workers. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons. And they built David a house. The cedar house that was constructed by David was likely the most impressive building in Jerusalem. It's a pity that it was destroyed by the Babylonians and nothing remains of this beautiful structure. Or perhaps something does remain. The story begins back in 2005 when archaeologist Dr. Eilat Mazar excavates at the summit of the city of David and uncovers the foundation of a building from the 10th century, the era of David. Gradually, the foundations of an immense building were uncovered in this very spot. This wall, for instance, measured around 30 meters long, and very close by, she uncovered a stone capital which was undoubtedly part of a magnificent palace. In-depth analysis of the findings and various clues in the Bible as to the location of the palace led Mazar to one clear conclusion. "I have found King David's palace in Jerusalem," Mazar rejoiced, and the world was amazed. It's true, there is no consensus yet among scholars as to whether this is indeed the palace built by King David, and we all have to wait patiently for the end result. But in the meantime, let us journey back in time. What wouldn't we give to be a fly on the wall of the palace when David brought the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem? The esteemed king, wearing a simple cloth vest and without a crown, dances and rejoices excitedly with the people before the Ark. What an exciting moment! But when the festivities end, the situation becomes awkward. The Ark sits in a simple temporary tent in front of David's magnificent palace, an arrangement that may have suited other kings but is very jarring for David. David turns to the prophet Nathan and pleads with him. "See now, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the Ark of God dwelleth within curtains." It was a defining moment, a moment when a new idea was born, to build a permanent building, a temple. However, not all the memories of the palace were so noble. There were many attempts to overthrow the kingdom, the most serious being the revolt instigated by David's beloved son Absalom. When the revolt broke out, David was forced to abandon his palace, flee across the Kidron Valley, and ascend the Mount of Olives to escape into the desert barefoot and weeping. Another event happened here. One day Nathan the prophet arrived upset to the palace gates. He burst right into King David's chambers and scolded him fiercely. "Wherefore hast thou despised the word of the Lord to do that which is evil in my sight? Uriah the Hittite thou hast smitten with the sword, and his wife thou hast taken to be thy wife, and him thou hast slain with the sword of the children of Ammon." Nathan criticized David for his affair with Bathsheba. This same prophet Nathan, consider, had he walked into the chambers of another king during that period, here in the Middle East, he would have met his death. Nathan not only left standing on his own 2 feet and breathing, but he left the king immersed in contemplation, having accepted Nathan's criticism with humility. It seems that in this palace, even the king himself was not exempt from the fundamental principles of morality and justice. But let's put aside the political revolutions and dramas for a moment. Imagine this beautiful palace late at night. After an exhausting day of running the kingdom, King David sits down to write his poems. the walls of the palace fill with the gentle sounds of a harp, and a word so widely identified with David, Hallelujah. David finally succeeds in thwarting all the attempted uprisings against him and continues to rule his palace with an iron fist. David ben Ishai died and was buried here in the city of David, just a few meters from his palace. Yet, the dynasty of the House of David produced 22 kings that ruled for over 400 years. It seems that David's palace was indeed unique. On the one hand, a symbol of sovereignty, strength, and power, and on the other hand, a place of deep faith, values, and spiritual creativity. And of course music, lots and lots of music.